Hello, I'm Daniel, and I'm from the University of Waterloo. I'm a master's student. So just brief acknowledgements. This all started with Hector Perez, and he's like the initial, like he made the package. And Joshua Pulsper now maintains it, and he's my supervisor. And Evelyn is the student that was on this before I came along. So what is disjunctive programming? A brief overview. It's a really nice way for modelers to embed logical constraints into their problems. And this might come up in things like expansion planning, where you're maybe picking between technology A or B. So like fossil fuel or like nuclear power plants, for example. And to do this, you might need propositional logic or even constraint programming logic. And this is done with what's called a GDP, or generalized disjunctive program, where you have your objective function, you have your constraints, but on top of that, you have what's called disjuncts in the purple. And these disjuncts are activated by Boolean variables. And so the Boolean variables are a really nice way for you to conditionally enforce constraints based on their value. So true would mean you're enforcing them, false means that they're not being enforced. Okay, so GDP is a really nice way for you to model it, but to actually solve it, solvers can't directly support a true and false variable, right? So we pass it a MIP instead. And just brief overview on why. For methods like branch and bound, you need like a relaxation of the problem. And so we can do this by relaxing the integrality of your MIP. And so GDPs have natural MIP counterparts. And in the end, you as the modeler, you can recover an interpretable solution that's true and false. And so just a brief, workflow. So user-facing programs are usually going to be a GDP. And then in the background, you do your whole MIP reformulation, and then the solver solves the MIP. But in the end, you still get your true-false answers. And so I'm going to go over a few reformulation techniques for this whole MIP thing. We'll start with this problem where you have a GDP form that models 3 circles. And the optimization problem we're going to solve is we have a school and we have an ice cream truck. And we'd like for the school and ice cream truck to be as close as possible so the kids can get their ice cream. And so because of this problem, we're going to only allow the ice cream truck to be in one of the 3 circles. And so that's our sort of discrete decision there. And when you send it to your solver, you need that relaxed form. The first one I'm going to go over is called Big M. And it's actually very simple in terms of its formulation. Each disjunct gets its own new constraint in the MIP form. And so it's simple to model, but you get a really large search space for your solver. But we can do better here. There's something called the hull, where you get the tightest reformulation possible, but it comes at the expense of a lot of new variables called disaggregation variables, and you get a lot more constraints. And on the right side is a lot of equations and stuff. Pay attention to more like how different they look rather than like what they actually mean. And modern methods seek to have a relaxation that is in between the hull and Big M. So you don't have a huge search space, but you're also not paying the computational cost of hull that comes from like the constraints and variables. And our solver adds these new methods. So just a couple more methods to talk about. So the general form I gave you guys was GDP, you get your MIP, and then you can solve your problem. Some reformulations require that you solve a sub-problem. So for example, we have cutting planes where you solve for like a series of linear cuts, and these linear cuts try to approximate the hull as close as possible. You have multiple Big M, which solves for coefficients. So in Big M, like generic Big M, you have 3 coefficients per disjunct. Now you have 6. But each of the M values requires its separate optimization problem in order to actually get the final MIP reformulation. And you get an interesting looking region here with the problem I showed before. So where does our package come in? With the problem we just found, you can model it very, very cleanly here in the GDP form. So you have your variables. These are just regular jump variables. But then we also have logical variables. So these are true, false. And your disjuncts are modeled. We're using set notation here. You could expand it. But you have disjunct 1, 2, 3, and the constraints kind of follow the same form here. So it's very clean, and you don't need to worry about the relax or the MIP form, because our modeler does it for you, or our package does it for you. And you can change to things like Big M, multiple Big M, and de-split with one keyword. and these are what we support right now. We also support their infinite dimensional versions, which I'm going to get into right now. So we have infinite dimensional optimization. What is it? A lot of real-world processes require you model things over continuous functions, so time and space. And this comes up in things like chemi, rocketry, portfolio optimization. And it involves you solving for not just finite numbers, but actual trajectories and profiles. An example here is you're solving for optimal control of a jacketed reactor, or you're solving for a concentration profile, a tank temperature profile, a jacket profile. And so this is done in Julia with a package called Infinite Opt. And this takes care of what we call direct transcription from your infinite form into a form that you can send to a solver. Okay, so the natural progression here is you have a infinite disjunctive program. And so what you're doing here is you're modeling a GDP over an infinite domain. And the math changes a bit. You now have a true-false variable that changes over your infinite parameter. So this could be time or space. And the nice thing here is our package automates the reformulation, Infinite Opt automates the transcription, and the techniques that I listed earlier, like cutting planes, multiple big M, they're adapted to the infinite setting. So you don't have to do that as the user. And the syntax remains largely the same. Largest difference is you now have an infinite GDP model, and you have your infinite constraints and parameters. You have infinite logical variables, so your true-false that changes over space-time. You have your propositional logic, and the reformulation stays the same pretty much, where you just swap out a keyword. Okay, so why choose our package over the other ones in the space? So sort of just like the three big ones, so us, GAMS, and Iomo GDP. A lot of them offer, well, they do offer GDP support, but they might not be free, and they might not offer the infinite dimensional bridge that we offer. And so we pass all three metrics. So just a really brief case study that we have to keep this interesting. We're going to model the Silverstone circuit using Infinite DisjunctiveProgramming.jl's, which is just the extension package that we have for it. And so just a brief overview. In 2026, F1 teams are required to have a 50-50 fuel split for their cars. And this is a real concern for teams now because they have to actively manage their state of charge on the battery in order to actually complete the race in a competitive time or even not run out of fuel. So we're going to model this with 4 modes in the car, or 4 disjuncts over space-time. And this will be a regeneration mode where you're charging the battery, internal combustion engine mode where you're using fuel to power the car, boosting where you have electrics and your fuel to propel the car, and then clipping where you are running the engine, but you're not using the battery to give yourself that boost, you're just charging the battery. So really suboptimal there, but it's one of the modes they offer. Okay, implementation. We have our lot minimization problem here. This is subject to force and energy balances that vary over space. And we also have some bounds on the speed. So like if you're going around a corner, there's a certain speed you need to follow so that you don't go off the track. And then you have our 4 modes here. And we're gonna say that, at each point in space on the track, you can only pick one of the 4 modes. And because we have ODEs, PDEs in this problem, you need initial conditions. Same thing, pick a reformulation at the end. Okay, so for the results, we have state of charge that changes throughout the racetrack. And this state of charge is informed by our decision on the racetrack. So this is the actual layout of the Silverstone circuit. And so here, the selections actually make sense where you're regenerating around corners, so you're braking anyways. You're boosting on sort of the straighter regions, and then you're clipping where you can. And this is more informed by the speed. So if you reach like your maximum speed for that straight, then it's kind of ideal to just start clipping because you don't want to gain speed before the corner, right? And these are just the telemetric results. In terms of solve time for each of the reformulation methods, it changes wildly. So the loosest and the tightest versions of the MIP relaxation, they don't give you a feasible solution for this problem within the hour wall time that I set. But the nice thing is we have something called indicator, which I didn't go over. It gives you a 13% optimality gap in the hour. And then multiple big M, which is one of the newer methods we implemented for infinite dimensional stuff, it solves it within 2 minutes. So we set a 5% optimality gap there. P-split, pretty close. It gives you an 18% within the hour. And then cutting planes was an inappropriate technique because the problem's non-convex. But it's really easy to switch out these methods. So it was pretty much, you just run it, and then if it times out, then go to the next method. Okay, so to recap, Big M and Hull, they're two extremes of the mid relaxation. You have one that's the loosest and one that's like the tightest, but also the most expensive. And other methods seek to compromise between the two. But switching is very tedious, as you saw earlier with like the different forms. And our package automates that. And something that we went over today that's kind of new is you have the infinite GDP problems where you can now model GDP dynamically. Thank you.